Skip, we're on now. So this is you're talking to that mic. Say hi.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
So we got Matt Moggers today. We're at Matt Moggers. Coach, he's our skip. So this is a sentimental type day. Nolan still isn't allowed on the video, even though he's able to be in the room with our old coach.
Yeah, we'll let him have a mic today.
Yeah, we'll let him have a mic. But for some substance here, we all have been under your wing, and we were Nolan played what 2012 to 15.
11 to 15. Yep.
11 to 15. I was 12 and 13. Dave, you came here and started your sports psychology career.
Yep. I was a grad assistant, volunteer grad assistant.
11 and 12.
Yep.
And then just for the finale, we're in the King's Throne. How many years has the big dog been here?
I believe this is 18.
18.
So started a long time ago, back in I think it was 2001 maybe. So it's been a while. It doesn't seem that long.
Yeah.
You guys look familiar.
Did it fly by?
Yeah. It's flying by. Yeah. It's really flying by. Especially in a day like today where it's just nice and chilly outside.
Yeah.
You get to hang in here with you guys and just warms everything up.
To go to Weggies, they know your order.
We've been
you got your spot.
We went to dinner last night. We went to breakfast this morning. We couldn't go 10 minutes without the community, someone walking by and going, "Hey, Matt. Hey, Moggers.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Coach, how the boys this year?"
Everybody's always anxious this time of year to see how the team's going to be. Yeah. But no, a lot of reminiscing, a lot of good times.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you guys had fun when you were here.
Oh, we did. We had a blast. So yeah, we're gonna. So that was some of the. We had some thoughts of do we have Skip on podcast or do we do a coffee buzz? And the thought process of it was, well, this guy just always makes you think. You're one of the best of asking a question in the middle of just wanting an answer. You know what I mean?
His whole life is a coffee buzz Friday. I think.
Yeah, so it felt right. We got up, we were heading over, and we said, I think it's just coffee buzz. So and again, we're on episode 11, correct? So episode 11, Nolan asked the questions. This will be really interesting. You get to ask your former college coach some things that he stands behind that he finds some of them on the internet and some of them from his thought and reflections. I'm convinced all of them are from his reflections. He's just trying to find a way to figure things out.
Yeah.
He's always, the good thing about Nolan, he's always a deep thinker. Anytime we'd go out for a mound visit, he was deep into thought, which is why he probably didn't say a lot. So.
Yeah. Tell us where you've been, Nolan.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. First question.
We got the timer.
Oh yeah.
Timer ready?
I got throw me my phone, please. I didn't. So we're jumping right into it. We got you got 4 today? No.
Yeah.
4 questions. All right. So just for Coach, just to have an understanding, we go 5 minutes. Okay. I'll put the clock out in front of us. Usually I kick everything to Dave and have him start it while I get to think. And once we start it, so we'll go 5 minutes, and then once it hits 5, we're done.
I like it.
So it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
So
let's do it.
Yeah.
If we don't get to an answer, then we don't get to an answer.
So you got to compete for your airtime. So
I'd love to compete.
all right.
You got to earn your airtime. Hey, for all the respect and admiration, now it's game time. So it's you got to compete now. We're on the same plane.
So good luck.
Play ball.
Go ahead, Noel.
Okay. So in the sports world, what's something that parents do that has a negative impact on their kids while playing?
There's a paragraph question there. So say that again real quick.
In the sports world, what's like the biggest thing that parents do that has a negative impact on their kids while playing?
Eddie, go. Seems like that was directed at a college coach.
Yeah. Right.
Good luck, man.
He looked right at me, didn't he?
Yeah,
he asked that too.
Yeah, you're on the hot seat. You're on the hot seat. Start us off, Coach. What do you think?
Biggest negative that parents do in the youth sports. My first instinct would be like project their own dreams and hopes, like they haven't yet healed or gotten over what they couldn't do, and then so they're kind of living vicariously, and so they have maybe unhealthy expectation for their kids, right? Rather than letting their children or their players have just their own experience and see where they're at and grow from where they're at, rather than throwing them too high. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. I would say that they try to be a coach. They try to be that person that tells them what to do or how to do it or when to do it, and this could probably be longer than a 5 minute.
Oh yeah.
You kind of see it all, but I think sometimes just being there also is something that they shouldn't do. You know, whether it's a practice or an event, it should all be about the kid.
Well, so Dave, I'm the only one who doesn't have a kid in sports, but you'll have one coming up here soon.
Yeah,
and then your boys have obviously they've been through the circuit. They've been in it for a while now with high school and middle school and those sort of things. What do you notice that? I would even switch the question more of thinking from how you can have more awareness as a coach or a parent of teaching kids. Like, what have you noticed that a kid wants from a parent?
Yeah, I think that's a good question because a lot of times I don't think the kids know what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
but I think the ones that I've seen, number one, they're just there when they need to be. You know, when a kid fails, they don't need to hear that they failed or how they failed.
They know it.
They know it. They know it. Everybody knows it.
Right.
And I just I think it's important to be there as a parent. And a lot of times those conversations shouldn't be had right after the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a coach, right? After the game, I'm probably going to say my piece and then move on and not let it sit there and stir there for a while. You've got to be able to move on. But sometimes I see kids jump in a car and probably for the whole hour ride home, they're hearing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, and that's
not fun.
Yeah, that was something we actually talked somewhat on this last night. But it's, I would think as the parent, it's hard because it's like an investment. Like you don't have control over an investment that you made. You know, you're still a human as a parent. So it's like you make a move or you make an investment or you give up time, like you're giving time to be there, or you're financially putting someone in a system, whatever it is, and then you have no control. So, like, you have no control over wanting to have control over this person having a good impact in the game or whatnot. And, again, that's just straight perception. But that's what I would see draws someone who doesn't have control and then not the awareness of realizing that, and then they push that onto their kid.
Yeah. It's being comfortable not having control, right? Being comfortable,
And that's just
like
being there.
right? Yeah, and just being there, and whatever happens, if they fail, great. If they succeed, it's going to be great. Like you can, that's what's great about sport is you throw them in there, no matter what happens, you can learn from it, right? And you can show as a parent that you're there for them no matter what. You know, whether you do well, whether you do poorly. I'm here for you, and it's okay to be you. Yeah, and then just break that up. Whatever happens, you can learn from it.
Is it hard being a parent in parent communities just with parents?
Oh, without a doubt, because I think the players are trying to feel where they fit and figure out what their role is,
Right.
and then the parents are trying to figure out what their role is.
Right.
You know, even on our own team, where do I sit today? Who do I stand by?
Right.
What shirt should I wear? What hat should I wear? And so they're trying to feel it out. When do I go to concession stands? Should I drink coffee like Dave's drinking coffee, or should so there's just all these questions. But ultimately, I think even as a player, but as a parent, you just got to be you. Do what you do.
Yeah.
And that's be there for your kid.
Yeah.
Right?
How do you feel about coaching your boys? You know, like, would you rather coach them for a while or allow somebody else to coach them?
I would. That's a good question. I think you have some cases where you have one coach them all the way up. Well, I feel it's good to have different experiences. Allow them to have a different coach.
Yeah.
You know, to get some different strengths and weaknesses and be more well-rounded maybe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's tough to find good coaches.
Yeah.
You know, it's coaching is different these days than it was, you know, back in the day. But
You got 15 seconds to go into that.
Wrap us up. Bring us home.
it's tough. It's tough being a coach. It's tough being a parent, and sometimes it's tough being a player. You know, so
It's tough out there.
if everybody can concentrate on what they are, who they are, then it goes better.
So it's tough.
Well said. It's tough out there.
There we go.
folks.
That's a tough question to answer in 5 minutes.
What is the best way for a person to attain happiness?
What is the best way for a person to attain happiness? 5 minutes on the clock. Dave Williams. That's when
you want me to go-
throw to him right away.
Yeah, you just
you
let
bury
me-
him into the fire.
You just let me go, and
We're
then
gonna
you
find
guys
out how happy you
and
are.
then you guys find out how you want to repeat what I say without making it.
We're
going
to sit here and judge your answers. So stop wasting time.
Yeah.
15 seconds in. Go ahead.
The best way to help somebody find happiness,
Attain it. Yeah.
attain it. Yeah. So happiness is really all about progress, right? If I'm making progress in a meaningful way, that's when we're the most happy. You know, our brain is set up to be like, it's like we're like a goal achieving being, right? We're kind of like a bicycle. We work best when we're kind of moving in a direction. You know, so when we're sitting still, not moving, not making any progress, then we're very unhappy and unfulfilled. So finding a meaningful goal, a meaningful vision to move towards, and then making just small incremental progress towards that. And there's even some research that shows that you're more happy making small progress than you are when you achieve your big dream, because you've stopped, right?
So how do you know if, let's say, someone's listening to this right now and go, well, I don't even know what step to take?
Yeah.
They have no vision, if you will.
Well, then you just think, what would be the next best step, right? What would be like, just ask yourself, what would be the coolest thing to do today? Or what would be the most exciting thing to do today? You know, or what, you just look around, like, you know, Jordan Peterson talks about, where you just sit in your room and you look around and you go, what could I improve in here? And then things will just jump at you.
Yeah.
You know, like I think everybody could find something if they just sort of allow themselves to look. Yeah.
And I think of a little baby just laying there in its crib, looking up in the air, and all of a sudden they'll smile and laugh, and all of a sudden they're crying. It's like, what's going on? You know, it's such a weird thing, but that's a good question, because what makes you happy might not make me happy.
Yeah.
You know, but ultimately, I tell our players, it's their job to have a good day. You know? And I think that's what, as a coach, some people they're just not as happy as other people. You know, do you try and change that? Do you let them be who they are? And all those questions that come along with that. But some people just, I think, are happier than other people.
Yeah, and it's okay to not be happy sometimes, right? It's okay. Like I don't think necessarily happiness should always be the goal, right? You don't want 25 players that are just happy all the time. Right. You want you want them to push, you want them to compete, you want them to be a little bit frustrated, right? Because when you're happy, why
would you do anything?
Yeah, there's really no motivation when you're completely happy.
Right.
Be like, hey, why don't you push harder? And I'm good.
Right.
Or there's no discipline in happiness. Everybody's like, hey, well, why don't you stick to this, or we got to stick to this? I was like, yeah, well, I'm okay.
I think that means you got to define happiness.
Yeah.
Right. You got to define, is happiness just that you're smiling all day and you sit in your room and go, this is awesome? You got to define it, because some people define happiness as discipline. You're a drill sergeant. Maybe they find happiness in the pain,
right? and make it causing other people pain,
right? So I think you got to define your own happiness, and then your sense of working with your players. Well, at the same time, you can put the thing out in front of them. We're sitting next to all these trophies, right? And in this room filled of tradition, but it's they all ultimately, you can give them the steps, but they have to take them, right? So it's how do you get a guy to do that? You can't give him your happiness,
right? Yep, and I think that's, as a person, you want to be around people that are happy to an extent.
Yeah.
I think a major league might have been 2 where the outfielder, what's his name? Big outfielder, he hits a ball, hits a pigeon.
Oh, Pedro Serrano.
Yeah. And he could hit the ball.
Yeah.
But he's just a happy guy. He hits a pigeon, and instead of running second base, he runs and picks up the dead pigeon that's alive. And, he's happy guy. So I don't know. It's happiness. You're right. I don't think there's you can open up a book and go, hey, it's happy. This is it.
Yeah.
And I think, especially college age, a lot of guys aren't in tune with their emotions and their feelings yet. They don't know what happy should be. We win a championship. Well, everybody should be happy, but unfortunately, maybe there's guys on the teams that aren't happy.
Right.
Do
you think that's where you have to define it on your own? Defining that?
I think so.
Yeah.
By asking, hey, how do you feel today?
I was going to say, how would you do
checking
that?
in.
How would you say, how would you define attaining happiness?
Oh, I think, like you talked about, setting out goals.
Yeah.
And back to the baby, just being able to take baby steps. Crawl.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can walk. Now I can run, and that's happy. That's simple happiness, I think.
Yeah.
Seeing the little steps, the little progress.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just smiling whenever mom comes back.
Right.
She's gone, she's back. That's why they love peekaboo.
I might try that today with the guys.
Yeah, there you go.
Try it out.
Peekaboo.
Bring them back.
Get the boys back. Peekaboo on. We want a little buffo over. We're gonna bend the rules here with the coach.
That's right. Yeah.
So if the guy's on a roll, you let him go over 5.
That's right. Yeah. You let him go.
Simple rules.
It's a simple game.
Simple game. Simple baby steps. Here we go now. Third question. Making our way through.
What is the most important factor in having a successful collegiate athletic career?
Oh my goodness.
What is the most important factor in having a successful collegiate career?
Well, I'm going to kick this to you guys because I didn't have a very successful one. So,
Well, I would. I would ask the question, what's success? I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, success is it might be a little bit higher in other people, or it might not be. But ultimately, number one, student athlete, you want to graduate. So if you get a diploma, that is probably successful.
Yeah.
Or does that mean does it mean you're not successful if you get a diploma and you don't get a good job?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I'm answering your question by answering more questions, but
Well, you
But we're
just-
narrowing
yeah.
it down. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to define success, because is it achievement? Like, is it fulfillment? Like, is it happiness? Like, some people are just happy to be in a college baseball uniform. You know, like other guys want to play Major League Baseball. Other people want to use a scholarship to
Yep.
get their degree and get whatever it is. So then you have this like ecosystem of personalities of 30 to 40 people plus a coaching staff. And then you have trainers in college. You have all these people. And it's like everyone has a different background, and now they're wearing one uniform.
Yeah.
Right. So then you have like that's what's so interesting about your position too. It's like, how do you get all these different backgrounds to want to define their own success as a team?
Yeah,
Which
and we
is
talked
crazy
a little
to think
bit.
about.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this last night. Like, the 1 year went to the College World Series, took third. Right, the next year you guys were expected to win it.
Yeah.
You guys
got
lost.
second.
Lost
Yeah.
in the national championship game,
And then next year they got third again.
and they got third again. And then you still you pitched and you started that game against Tampa, right, in the national championship, and you said it still feels like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it still feels like that.
Yeah,
you know,
it does. It does.
Yeah.
It does. It was just so unexpected, and we talked about how it took the wins out of your sails, right?
Yeah.
But I always think about if you're talking about as an individual, and this is again, you're going to come from how you perceive success as a college athlete. But I was always under the mindset of, okay, well, like, what is your reasoning for picking a school, right? Like, if I pick a school, like, I wanted to go here because they won, I was exposed, and I was going to be around players who were ultimately very good that weren't just me. So then, like, last night we were saying, like, one of the really cool things I had when I put at this university was the pitchers. We were, like, scared to death of the other guy beating you out, right? So, but at the same time, when you were playing or not pitching and that guy was pitching, you, like, wanted him to have the most success ever. And I'd never felt that on other teams, like, especially in professional sports. You didn't feel like that at all. You know, like, you never were rooting for another dude and never felt like they were rooting for you. But then in terms of, like, understanding what you were trying to do there, like, we were expected and the standards were set at a position where we were supposed to be the best in the country at everything. So individually, you wanted to be better than everything else.
Yeah.
And then team-wise, you wanted to be better than everybody else. So then that was like your job. So like every day was like a baby step. And then I used to always say, when you're in a position where you really want to be successful, you appreciate having, like, why would you work so hard in September of fall ball when the season doesn't start till March? But like, you knew how important September was. So it was like, I don't need September to end because I need every single day to prepare in September. And then when you get out of that, that's what I would say is what you need to do as a college athlete is you've got to narrow in a 12-month calendar year. What exactly should I be at mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally throughout the year to be ready to, in my case as a pitcher, throw like 12 times. Like, essentially you throw 12 days in a year.
Yeah.
So why would you train so hard for 12 days? And then when you figure out why you would do that, that's when I feel like you'll be very successful.
Yeah.
yeah. So it sounds like the process, right?
100%.
There's a plan here, and this is the process we go about doing it, and you've got to find happiness in that day-to-day activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Not from my perspective, but from your perspective, I suppose.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you know, when they have failure, the doubt starts to creep in, and that's the biggest thing I see is people aren't able to attain their goals because that doubt creeps in. You know, and they might not have faced that much in the past, and if they don't have a good core group, teammates, coaches, whatever it might be, it just grows. You know, and unfortunately, I think that's where people fail, and they kind of forget why they chose that school or why they chose that job, and at times there's probably needs to be reminders there that this is why you're here.
Yeah.
But I think in college student athletes, a lot of them, their baseline, their number one thing, why do they go to school, is because of baseball.
Right.
And then, oh, by the way, they're trying to figure out as their baseball career goes along, and that dream of playing professional baseball might not be there. The panic of, what am I going to do now? Now it's the reality of, God, I got to get a job, and the real life starts to hit them.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That was well said.
That was well said. Can we go bonus? I'm gonna go bonus 30 here because I want to ask a question off that. But how do you help athletes? How do you help athletes realize that, or what have you seen of trying to decrease the slumping of people transitioning into the real world?
Yeah, I think it's a reality check. It's that fine line of keeping them humble but keeping them hungry at the same time. Pretty realistic that maybe one or two guys on our team might get that professional baseball experience. Right. But our hope is that everybody on the team has that dream and that passion. But at the same time, as they get older, their priorities change. An 18-year-old's priorities are a lot different than a 22-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Unless you're Harvey and you're still 29
and you're 26 and
26, 29. I'm staring at I'm in the baby cradle. I'm just laughing.
So it's weird. I wish there was a book that we could open up and say, hey, this is what you're going to do here.
This is how it works.
But everybody takes a different route. Sometimes they're going to get off. The compass is going to get off a little bit, and we've just got to get it back north.
I love it.
Love it.
Get baby steps back north. Process. Cool. Trust in the process.
Keep moving.
Where does a person's sense of humor come from?
Where does a person's sense of humor come from?
Oh man.
I don't know if is there any fact behind this? Is there any science behind this that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of. We know that it could be it just like anything could be a personality trait. And there are people that are just more predisposed to kind of have humor and playfulness.
Sure.
Martin Seligman, is like the godfather of positive psychology, identified all these virtues across culture and across time, and humor and playfulness is considered like a virtue. Something that that's a strength that people have that, as across time has been shown to increase happiness and help people out. So I think it's very virtuous to have a good sense of humor. And so you can take like the test, the character strengths, and humor and playfulness is my number one, and so it's like, well,
humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag, no big deal. And I imagine it would be probably top 5 for you guys for sure, because that's why we hang out. But I think that so you might be naturally, just like anything, naturally disposed to it, but then also you learn to kind of be fun and playful, like you learn to chirp at each other, you learn to laugh at yourself, you get humbled, and then you go, well, I could get angry, I could push back, I could get upset, or, well, I could just laugh about it and then understand that I'm the goose right now. I love it when Harv's the goose, and I love making fun of him.
Yeah.
And then so when everybody's making fun of me, well, that's just my turn.
Right. You're part of the team.
Yeah. I just got to learn how to take it right now. Yeah.
And I think those people that are successful can laugh at themselves. There's a quality of being able to do that. Where some people, if you make fun of them, they get they get angry.
Yeah, it's over,
and it's a personal thing, and it's an attack.
Right.
And so I think as you grow older, you learn to gain a sense of humor.
Yeah.
But I also feel it's part of the environment that you're in. You're surrounded. So you go from high school group to a college group and being able to fit in, and I just being able to laugh at yourself is pretty important, because we're humans. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to fall down, and
do you think there's something about baseball too?
Well,
it seems like baseball players or baseball people sort of just have a more developed sense of humor, because there's just a lot of failure. And so it's like,
that's what I was going to say.
And so it's like you kind of have to have a good sense of humor to survive.
Well, where does a lot of, I always say, if you don't fail all the time, like, how do people talk around a campfire? Essentially, like, campfire stories are just, you want to hear about when you sucked.
Right. I want to hear when you suck, so I don't do that. Yeah.
And then in baseball, play a minor league season in the bullpen, like, you're just forced to talk. Like, there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, you're a pitcher in a baseball team, like, if you start one game a week for 6 days a week, you're just talking to somebody else.
grinding,
Yeah,
yeah.
so like you're just chirping all the time, right? But I always say when I get asked by younger guys, what's the keys to being successful? And I didn't know this question was going to be asked, but what's the keys to being successful in college baseball? I always like saying this to them because one, it flips them over, and I'm like, what? I wasn't expecting that. But I would say, one, you've got to be able to chirp people. Yeah. Like, you've got to be witty and clever to go into any clubhouse in America and be able to chirp people.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that sounds mean, right? But I go, but then more importantly, you got to be able to get chirped.
Right.
And if you can do those two things, you'll be fine in baseball.
Yeah.
You know, or like sports, or like, I mean, obviously you try to segue, you try to get stoic on it. I'm trying to follow your lead, you know, and lead and be wise and whatnot. But it's like, that's super important, because think about when you dive into any new environment, and especially in sports or baseball, you move up a team, you go to a new school, you go to a junior college, and you go to college out of high school, whatever it is, like it's their clubhouse. And like their clubhouse of conversations that has evolved, their environment that's evolved through their humor has been there. So now you enter their world, and you got to be able to get chirped. Like, you have to be able to handle that, you know, or it'll just eat you alive.
Yeah, kind of walk the walk and talk the talk,
Right.
If you can't back up what you're talking about, it's going to be tough. But you got to be able to take that.
Yeah.
Right? And I think to your point about baseball, it is a game of failure, you know. But understanding that along with failure comes opportunity to improve.
Yeah.
You know, so it's and that's a good thing about baseball, is different than football and some other sports where it's pretty much, you know, X's and O's, and we're here, there's a lot of improv and you know, instinctual stuff that, hey, our goal is to throw and catch the ball. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just go ahead and do it. You can drop your elbow, you can catch, you know,
whatever it takes.
There's some weird throwing motions out there,
Right.
you know, but just get it done.
But if you get it there,
then you get there.
Then it works,
Yeah.
And then people love it.
Right, and the fact that, like, there's always like another pitch, right? There's always like a next one. Like in professional baseball, there's like the next day is going to come. There's always, you know, and so it's either, well, you can dwell on one out of 152 games, right? Or you can just kind of laugh it off and be relaxed, and then set yourself up to be ready for the next one. And so it just kind of
Keep chirping along.
Keep chirping along. Be the goose when it's yours, and then just love it when you're not the goose, and go in attack mode.
For sure.
Yeah.
Did we answer that question? I kind of forgot the question as we were talking through. I know I'm supposed to be the one who keeps us online.
Yeah, we kind of said that you might be born a little bit with it, but it's important to develop as you get older.
Oh, yeah. So I feel like we didn't answer it then.
No, but it was still a good 5 minutes, though.
Yeah. I felt like we answered
it. Was deep. It was really deep.
Yeah.
It was deep.
Yep.
So the answer would be that it can be a trait, but it's also your environments, who you're around. If you're around funny people, you're just going to learn how to be funny.
Yeah. And I think we all agree that it's important to develop that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Especially in baseball.
See, Marks, and so that's the beauty of Coffee Buzz. You see how many things we just solved? World things that we just
If we
solved?
solved them or created more.
Yeah, we probably did, but that would be, to Dave's point, that would be happiness. Has created a problem.
I think we made some progress.
Yeah, we made some progress.
Moving forward.
Yeah, that's it. And it's up to the listeners to see if we made any progress.
So, best seller, is that all of them?
Yeah, that's it. Good job.
Thanks. So he's Nolan, as you could tell, and you said when he played here too, he's always been a high energy bug. He's always been super supportive.
He's always been happy.
Yeah, he's always been happy.
He's always been happy.
Wanted to be in the spotlight, you know.
The guy's just been having a blast. So he's out to lunch, and that's why we love him. Just out to lunch. But okay, cool. So that was episode 11, huh? Well, we did this one in a really cool, special place. As you guys can see, we've had the Skips had some fun runs here, and that was fun to break it down with you and peel the brain back in Coffee Buzz.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you guys have been a big part of it. So, and honestly, for me, that's what it's all about, is having you guys come back and waiting for the next group of goofballs to come through.
Yeah, let's get them going.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah, time to go. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.